Rapid Entertainment. Rapid Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome everyone. Good afternoon to all our entrepreneurs, and we are here once again for one of NEDCO's fascinating and exciting webinars. I am Kristel, Business Advisor at NEDCO, and we are here and proud to serve you, the micro and small enterprise sector. At NEDCO, we offer loan funding, business advisory, entrepreneurial training, incubation program, and much more. So in today's webinar, we'll be discussing becoming an entrepreneur. And today our esteemed guest is Mr. Neil Jagdeo, Solutions Architect at ADSOL. Neil, welcome.
Thank you very much, Kristel, and thank you everyone for me to be here.
Have you. I just want to get into a little bit of housekeeping rules first. In this session, we invite you to ask your questions in the chat. You can do so anytime during this session, and the questions will be answered at the end during our question and answer segment. So let's jump right in. Neil is a father and husband and an independent ICT solutions contractor who specializes in sales and solutions for the past 12 years. He holds numerous industry-specific certifications and diplomas, including a BSc Honors in Information Technology and a Master's in Business Administration. Neil has extensive knowledge of both sales and technical environments, which allows him to design and scope ICT solutions for the small business owner, all the way up to large-scale commercial and corporate, even government clients. To date, Neil has generated in excess of 17 million in equipment and solution sales with a client base of over 600 persons spanning the entire English-speaking Caribbean. The technology brands that he has worked closely with over the years include, but are not limited to Microsoft, Adobe, Red Hat, F5, Apple, HP, Dell, ASOL, IBM, Epson, and so much more, at least 15 more. So indeed, in the IT and C world, he is at his best playground. Neil's decision to take the business ownership began as an independent contractor and evolved into a full entrepreneurial endeavor. As such, he registered his company to formalize existing relationships. He used his business as a tool to obtain new businesses and exploit fundamental concepts taught by NEDCO as a participant in the Business Accelerator Program. Some of the concepts he learned are marketing, financing, operation, and strategy. And these would be used to grow his startup company and fill the gaps that some of the larger and more established technology players in TNT have left open for anyone's taking. So, Neil, it's really lovely to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Forgive me for the slightly hoarse voice. It's not COVID at all. I just got my booster, so yeah, I'm a bit bummy at the moment, but God is good. So we'll get through this together. Thank you.
That's all right, just staying safe, and so we can, be with you once more in the physical setting. So tell us your story, Neil. How did you think of becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, this journey started many years ago. Even before I actually became employed at a local IT company. I always used to wonder about great entrepreneurial success stories, some of which we all are aware of. For example, the Answer Makal Group, and how the Answer Makal Group became what it is today. And that's a story that we all need to know of from Mr. Anthony, the late Anthony Norman Sapp, and then from another conglomerate that we all are aware of, the humble beginnings that they came from, which is the Massey Group, which was formerly the Neil and Massey group of companies, right? And you are talking about entrepreneurial endeavors that pretty much started a century ago, several decades ago. And that because of hard work and perseverance and capitalizing on what the market requires and adjusting to suit, years later, decades later, the fruits of that labor, it was not something overnight. It took time. And so, on that note, one of the reasons why to becoming an entrepreneur is so important, and my story behind it is when I started working at IT, which I did not originally started at in my working career. I started off in banking, financial services, right? When I moved to IT, I recognized that the IT companies in Trinidad and Tobago, they are primarily focused on large-scale clients, the large sector clients in A, B, and C grade. So the A grade clients would be large telecommunications companies, fellow conglomerates, government sector and regional governments, and so on, and like airlines and so on. So these IT companies are not playing in the SMB area, in the residential, in the SMB sphere. So it leaves a certain gap. And I always used to believe that there has to be more to providing solutions and service. It has to be more than just at the large scale corporate level. So given this gap, I decided, you know what? Because the ICT sphere is so very dynamic and changes quite a lot, I decided to jump headfirst into this several years ago, and here I am. So that's basically the story.
Wow, that's interesting, because those larger companies, we sometimes forget that they started off as small as we did.
Yes.
So thank you for jumping in those uncharted waters. So tell me, how did you find your purpose, your passion for small business ownership?
That passion, that purpose and that passion has to do with it. You get that with time. It is not something that you can simply grow overnight. I started into this IT business just a mere 12 years ago. I am by no means an expert, but there are people who I lean on for even advice. Even at 12 years in the industry, I am still a baby compared to many people. So the passion comes with you keep learning, keep adjusting yourself, keep retooling yourself, because I don't know what careers and business entities that our guests here have formed or established, or in the process of establishing. But where IT is concerned, we cannot stay in one particular spot. You just need to keep rolling with the times, keep adjusting your qualifications. So much so that IT qualifications expire now after 2 or 3 years. It depends on where you got your certificates from. So finding that purpose and passion came from the experience that I have gained, the ability to go there on your own and realize this. You're not piggybacking on a concept that already existed. You have to form that new concept, that business. It all relies on you. You're converting, you're transitioning from being an employee to an employer. So you are being self-employed. So those concepts and all those mechanisms you have to put in place to ensure that you drive revenue, it all starts with you. And that drive, that passion has to be there, and it takes time. You need to learn it, you need to understand it before you execute. It's a very clinical process, but it's not as difficult as you think it is, and I'll be happy to expand more on that as we go along.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So, you just touched on something there about the qualities, and you touch a little bit on the behaviors when you say you have to hone this passion. Do you believe there are certain traits an entrepreneur must possess in order for their small business to survive?
But of course, I would say this, to tie in back to what we just said, you just can't jump into this overnight. It takes time. It's a decision that you will have to keep asking yourself that question. Do I quit my job? Do I start my own business? What do I do? Do I stay in my job and get some more experience? Or given the state of the economy we are in right now, many people lost their jobs. So we are therefore forced to enter an entrepreneurial activity, because let's be real here. We can't just sit idly by waiting for a job to fall in our laps. The productivity must continue. Bills have to be paid. So we have decisions to make. And it is on that note, the main trait that we need to have is persistency. We are clouded. All right, I'm going to give you a different sort of view, a very frank and a very realistic point of view from where I sit. It's not all a bed of roses, okay? The world is filled with the glam and the glitter, and it's once you are a business owner, everything's going to be easy, and it's only success and money falling in from the sky and stuff like that. It doesn't work like that. What you need to have is a mentality to accept that there are going to be days where people are going to tell you, no, I cannot give you that loan. No, you cannot get this business. There may be some bureaucracy in setting up your business and so on. You need to understand that these are all things that we all face, but persistency. Be persistent and know what you want. And despite whatever external negativities we have out there, we need to motivate ourselves and always understand that for every 9 no's, there's going to be 1 yes. That's the law of sales. That's the law of generating revenue, and it will come. So the key trait that we must have is patience, and do not be afraid to accept no as an answer.
That's quite interesting, because having interacted with you during your tenure here in the Business Accelerator Program, I could attest to your display of some key survival traits, like perseverance and adaptability, because you did that through COVID. So I know that every 9 no's, there was one yes. What are some of the benefits then of becoming an entrepreneur? Because after 9 no's, why must I do this?
Right. I guess we will touch on this, but I want you all to consider this. I am in the business of delivering IT solutions and sales, right? Now, the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur is different based on what you want to be, what business idea you have. For me, on the other hand, and the common denominator amongst all entrepreneurs is that you have the flexibility to be your own boss model. Okay, so let's be real here. Life moves on. We all have busy lives. We all have bills to pay. We all have a car that may need to go to the mechanic. We all have customers in all 4 quadrants of the island of Trinidad and Tobago. We need to manage our time, our personal time, our business time, and being your own boss allows you that flexibility. For example, the other day, my fridge went bad. So therefore, I need to allocate that specific amount of time for the guy, the technician, to come and repair the fridge. And I was home to allow that to happen. So that is just a little insight in terms of the flexibility an entrepreneur would have. Whereas for, say, an employed individual, it is not a question where Monday morning, Brighton, and you decide to message your boss, well, you know, my fridge went bad Sunday night and I'll be coming in late on Monday. No, it doesn't work like that, right? So that's just a small, probably a very poor example, but the idea here is you get to be your own boss, you get to manage your time on your own, you dot all your I's and you cross all your T's, but the difference is that you cannot have any slip-ups. Because similar to a taxi driver, if a taxi driver comes off the road, there's no income at that point. So you have to manage that time properly. As long as you are self-employed, every time you go out there and you work, that means that's revenue for you, right? So that's that.
Wow. So yes, as an entrepreneur myself, I can tell you that that balance of time, that work-life balance is very, very critical. But there is nothing more satisfying or was more satisfying than when I got my first official sale. That lit a spark in me, and all the time that went into being an entrepreneur really paid off. At that point in time, you couldn't talk to me because I got my first sale. So if someone like me who had a passion, a little side hustle, you know, what are some of the things that they should do first if they were to start a business, from your advice?
Ask yourself a question. If it's a side hustle, say you sell stuff, like you sell TVs on the side, or you do mechanic services on the side. Maybe it's small engine repair, or it's a car, or you do general contracting services, lawn, landscaping, and that sort of thing. Ask yourself, do you have what it takes to be consistent? Why should somebody choose you if you want to convert that side hustle? Are you a subject matter expert? Or do you know sufficiently enough to say, listen, you've already trying to establish yourself from a side hustle into something more established, something more concrete, into a registered business? It takes more than just converting a side hustle. You need to have the experience. You need to understand that you are actually converting a passion. And when you convert your passion to drive revenue, it means that it's not a job. It's more like you are doing what you like. It's fun. So what are some of the things that you should do before you start that business is to get that level of experience. Ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it going to be a consistent revenue generator? Because at the end, it's your time. And if you are getting your time, of us here would want to know that we are converting something as simple as a side hustle. And then when we jump into it full time, we realize it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable model. So a side hustle means that you already have and it's something established, hence the term side hustle. But if the side hustle has grown to the extent where you can dedicate that amount of time to drive the revenue and of course subsequent profits to live, then by all means.
Yeah, that is surely one or the first step is to analyze. Analyze, and I believe then plan.
That's
Don't
right.
just jump without planning. What you say to that?
That's right. It's so true. For example, I started to bring down, I remember in 2005 or 6, I brought down a box of flash drives. Back then, the size of those drives were like 256 kilobytes or something. It's very small, not even a megabyte. And I managed to sell that box flash drives, and I said to myself, wow, maybe I could go into this some more. So I brought down hard drives, I brought down monitors, I brought down printers, and so on. But the question is it a model that can be sustained? So that side hustle remained exactly what it was back then, just a side hustle. But today, with the experience and with the relationship that you would have built over the years, then you can convert that into something a little more established.
Yes, definitely. And it's a step-by-step process. You see, it surely is a step-by-step, and it's surely about going back and looking at your market, seeing what the needs are, seeing, is it necessary? Is it making money sense? Because at the end of the day, as I said, a passion could be there, but you have to have the drive to push that passion through. And you must, take the necessary steps to ensure that this business is sustainable. Otherwise, it will stay as it is, a passion or a side hustle, rather than become an established small business.
That's right.
So what are some of the challenges you encountered on this journey? And how did you overcome these challenges? And most importantly, why didn't you give up?
I encountered quite a number of challenges, to be honest. You before you decide to go on a business, you must have support. If you don't have support, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a very, very, very steep climb. And I did not have that. So let me draw a reference to a time where I used to work in the insurance industry. For anyone in this chat, in this webinar, who is aware of how insurance works, the insurance sales representatives work, that they don't work on a salary. They don't report to the office at any particular time or day and then leave at the end. Insurance agents or financial advisors, they are called independent financial services contractors to the insurance company. So in other words, they are entrepreneurs. They are all entrepreneurs. They have to manage their stationery, their time, their car, their gas, whatever excess, and they have to go out there and push sales and business to be on the books, right? And then the other end of that is in insurance, your client retention must be at least for 18 months. If the policy is not enforced for the first 18 months, in some instances, it will go into lapse. And therefore, if they don't pay, the policy lapses before the 18 months, then you don't get your commission. So the first year commission. So you have to treat it independently as to how you would add value. And on that note, the challenges are, one, financing. Where you're going to get your financing. How solid is your business proposal, your business plan in order to achieve finance? And these things have to be ironed out very, very, very carefully and clinically before you approach that. I didn't have that opportunity back then. You all do have that now, for all the guests here on this webinar. So it's a big plus, right? But I had that as a challenge. I didn't have the facilities and what we have today, right? The next thing is, when the more contacts you have means the more business you can drive. That's a similar model in insurance. To start your business, you always start with your family, your friends, your neighbors. And these are some of the things that I didn't have, right? So touch on those things first, those challenges that I had. I overcame it by now, but it is important that you have that circle of support. What else in terms of challenges? I talked about financing. Why did I not give up? Because I knew what I wanted. Because I knew that once you start this, the amount of time and the resources that you invest into this, it's like a person, it's like a child. It's not a physical person, but you invest so much into, like for the parents among us, you invest so much into your children's education, your children's life. You can't just give up on that. That's a commitment for life. So it's similar to here. This project of IT, this IT contracting services company that I have invested too much time for it to fail. So I have to move on, and I have to be innovative and creative in order to sustain the model.
Yes, wow. Two things you touch on there that really struck a chord with me: the networking and how important it helps when you have to overcome challenges and that developing of the business. You see, when you describe it like a child, that is exactly how it feels. It feels
Right.
like your baby, and
Yes.
you get attached to it. And a lot of times persons don't even allow businesses, their small businesses, to grow because they get too attached to the stage they're in. So definitely considering the growth that you want for your business and adapting in your business, whether it's IT, and we know IT has soared in terms of development over the last couple of years, even more so with COVID, to just bring out something new for your clients and direct your efforts towards satisfying those needs. So given that we went into challenges, we recently or are slowly coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic era, and all that it entails. During that time, how did you navigate your business, and how are you navigating now, getting out of this COVID-19 pandemic era? Neil, are you there?
Yeah. We just got disconnected for a second, and then I came back. So could you repeat that again once more?
So I asked, coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic era, and even during that time, how did you navigate your business during the pandemic, and how are you navigating your way out of the pandemic?
Well, the pandemic has changed things. Face-to-face contact, physical contact were reduced very significantly. However, in my particular business, I don't just sell boxes. I don't just sell something physical like a printer or a laptop or a switch or something like that. Yes, these things are important because when I sell this and I install it, that's how I am paid. But in the pandemic, what came about, people needed, companies still required services. They still required maintenance. They still required some level of, some sort of laborious work. And it is on that note that even though I did not sell much physical items, my actual presence was needed in some of the IT departments because they just needed that level of labor to interact with your servers, with the printers. Work still has to be done. The companies didn't have physical staff in there, but many of them, like 99% of them, had a work from home policy. And it provided, there was a tremendous stress on their networks, the back end, some of which we would never really understand. So, they required some level of contracting services, and that's how I was able to navigate through that. So let's apply this to your model now. In your business, you probably sell something physical, but you are able to navigate through that because you can also sell professional services. And professional services is you personally. You don't have to procure any item to resell it or depend on set delivery and depend on foreign exchange to import it and clear it into the country. So during any pandemic situation, during any economic turmoil, once your professional services is there in person, you can sell yourself to get into those companies, and labor is considered in accounting 100% profit. So that's how I was able to navigate through that.
Wow,
Provide professional services.
That was a really strong strategy and a good pivot plan. I mean, that was really strong and a good pivot plan because customer relationship management is key. Having that one-on-one connection with your customer is very, very key, whether we're in a pandemic or not. That brings out a part of a competitive edge that you must or you will rely on when you're ready for growth. So
that's right.
I want us to delve into the business of working on your business or working in your business. It's two different. So as a small business owner, you spoke about time management and task scheduling, and you know how difficult it can be. Share with us, how do you organize your business?
I don't even think I got that correct even up to today, but to give you some insight. When you are self-employed, an entrepreneur, sole trader, every administrative aspect is on. So you have to be the person that sells the business. You have to be the person that provides physical support. You have to be out there receiving payments and doing quotations and stuff like that. All of these things must be structured in its own quadrant. So what you need to do, and what I have been doing, is before the end of the week, any work week, sometimes it will take you into Saturday or Sunday, structure what you would do the week in advance. The country has northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. So if you do have clients based in the southern part of the country, and if you are based more in the southern part of the country that week, structure your time accordingly so that those clients can get their quotations. Some of them they can get email quotations, that's fine. But some clients, like some government clients, you cannot just give them an email quotation. Some of them need to get your company stamp and signature for that to go through processing, finance. You need to get the originals, right? So you need to dedicate, structure how much clients you're going to have be touching on, say on Monday to Tuesday. You'll be in the northwestern part. If you'll be in the Port of Spain environs, then another part of the week, like say Wednesday and Thursday, you'll be in the east-west corridor, which is not much business. So you can deal with east-west corridor and southeast at the same time. And then maybe like a Friday, you could dedicate yourself to the San Fernando and environs, solely. So once you do that, you can ensure that all of your customers' invoices and quotations are collected and picked up and so on. And similarly, you did work, and therefore work requires payment. And when your customers call, not all of your customers have a courier service. So you have to arrange with whoever, procurement manager or finance manager, whoever you are dealing with as part of your relationship management with your customer, with your client. You need to know when your checks are ready, and you need to go out there and collect your checks. So structure it based on zone your clients, especially based on activity. Most of my activity, and I presume most of us here in this chat, is pretty much Port of Spain environs and San Fernando environments and environs. So once you structure accordingly, you will be able to allocate that level of time.
Wow. Again, great nuggets of wisdom, and it shows by your experience in the strategies of creating groups and that structure and that systematic way of moving from one weekend to the other to ensure that you stay on top of things. It may not always be perfect. That's a good point as well.
That's the same way how we are accustomed to from primary school all the way to secondary school. A structured timetable. There's going to be times when you're going to have to do your administrative tasks, send out your quotations, make your calls, because business doesn't come on your lap just like that. You need to go out there and speak to this particular company or that particular company. Give them a shout and say, hello, my name is Neil. I'm introducing ADSOL to you. I'm a solutions architect. I can provide X, Y, and Z service. That is all that they need to hear. You don't need to sell, well, I have a master's in rocket science and that sort of thing. No, nobody needs to know all that, right? Introduce yourself, your competency levels, and once you get the contact, follow up with it, and it will happen.
Yep. And once again, we have technology now to help us. So there are lots of apps there that can help you put a little bit of strategy and structure to it. So I want to move a little bit, and I know we spoke a little, we touched on support, but in your opinion, give us a little bit more detail about how important family support is to an entrepreneur. Not only family support, but that friend, that person who believes in you. How important is that support for an entrepreneur?
That is so important. Family support. Again, I'm going to touch on the insurance model. Before one becomes a financial advisor, an independent financial advisor, you have to fill out something called a P100, called a Project 100 booklet. It's your first 100 possible clients And out of that 100, you need to qualify them and see which ones will be the ones to give you that business. And it is on this note, family. You touch on family first. If you were to draw different circles, I see in WhatsApp right now, there's a chart that is passing around where each country's world debt in relation to GDP. And it's like a nice little pie chart going on there. Well, you need to do that where customers is concerned, where your support, where your network is concerned. Do that chart and you'd realize that you need to start with your family and friends. If you are into hairdressing and nails, start with your sister, your brother, your auntie, your uncle, your tanty, nenen, your neighbor, whoever. Start with them. And once you do an effective job, a very good job, there's referrals. You don't even have to pick up the phone and call Uncle Harry down the road. Uncle Harry knows to come to you, right? So it is important that you build those relationships now and let the referrals, at that level of referrals come in. Let me draw a reference. I know he wouldn't mind, I wouldn't call his name, but this model also applies to car sales. Not all car salesmen are employees. Car sales, I'm sorry, I don't want to be sexist. Not all car sales persons, right, are employees. Many of them are independent contractors to like the Massey and the Answer McCall and Southern Sales and so on. There's this particular gentleman started off car sales in 1992. He works at Massey. He's a leading sales rep at Massey. And right now, he does not have to do like how I have to pick up the phone, and I'm sure many of us here, to go and do some cold calling or prospecting and stuff like that. Because of that relationship, because of the volume, because of his persistency and consistency, right? His referrals is what drives his business. He's still #1 today in terms of car sales. He's #1 sales rep for Nissan, probably 10 years running. So we can look at it draw reference to that model in context of what is happening in our lives right now. Use that. The more referrals we have, we are making it easier for, say, 5-10 years from now, because all those referrals will come back to you.
Yeah, managing those customer relationships really put money in the bank.
Yes.
And, we spoke a little bit briefly in the beginning about you being a participant in the first cohort of NEDCO's Business Accelerator Program. Right. And we are like family now, Neil.
Definitely.
You have been virtually in my house and you have been in yours. So tell me,
yes,
how has NEDCO Business Accelerator helped you develop your small business?
Tremendously. I'm going to be frank. Many of us here in this webinar may have a similar mindset as I would have had 2 years ago. I know the program got slightly delayed, obviously, because of the pandemic and so on. But I actually did not have the highest of expectations, I'm going to admit. But that it changed, and I'll explain why. The content of this program, for those of us who have your degrees and all these nice little pretty certificates out there, the content delivered is exceptional. In my opinion, it's master's level content. Master's level content. The discussions, the arguments, how clinical we got into strategy and sales and marketing and try how to form your business in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation, and even in terms of finance and certain regulatory matters that was discussed. These are topics that you get at the master's level, at an MBA level. And this is here, free for all to participate and get that level of knowledge. Knowledge is power. And you don't need to go in any of these private schools or these public tertiary schools in Toronto to be able to get that. The NEDCO program can facilitate you regardless of where you are in your life right now, regardless, could get you up and running and you'll be highly successful. And your conversations will follow very easily. You can listen and converse to people who already have those level of qualifications. And they will think, wow, boy, this person obviously has a master's in economics or management. I know, but you're able to follow, and a NEDCO program can make that happen for you. And that is a challenge that I would have had. See, the thing is, I didn't have this opportunity back then. And now thanks to the funding and thanks to, the government's persistency in entrepreneurial activities, we can capitalize on this through NEDCO.
Wow, thank you. I have a blush, right? You have me blushing.
Yes.
We really
Yes.
pride ourselves in giving the best we can to our entrepreneurs each and every step of the way, and making it a worldwide road for the entrepreneurs is already hard. So let's become that partner and that business, that side of the business for you, and that support and
Right.
on your road to sustainable business. So one final question before we jump into the question, because I see the chat is going. Do you recommend for someone considering to start a small business to get additional support from places such as NEDCO, based on what you just said?
Oh, definitely. The thing is, I don't go into it don't try to accomplish too much too early. Start the program, get into the program, even if you feel like you're a bit lukewarm. You may not want to start your own endeavor, at least right now. Knowledge is power. And there's only one way to find out. Start the program, join, consistent with the program, and listening. The presenters, the material, I forgot to even mention, the presenter are first class. And the material shared, the sort of arguments that was brought up, it's very good, and I would advise you to get involved, even if right now you are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, not exactly an entrepreneur. Start the program, and who knows, it could actually convert something for you to in 2022 and beyond.
Wow. Thank you so much. And so we have had a very fruitful discussion, and I know we have some questions from the audience, and I want to take a couple of minutes to get into those questions. Right? I saw a question directly related to you, Neil.
Mhm.
One of the question is, what is the requirements for a loan for a person who may want to open a mini mart? I guess that's Marla. Marla, that question is for me. Particularly, you can email us. There are a number of requirements, including your business registration. You can email us at training@nedco.gov.tt, and we will send you that list of requirements and help you along the way with our business relationship officers. Okay, Marla. And Neil, are entrepreneurs born or made? What are your thoughts?
That's a trick question. Actually, both. You tend to hear in a lot of successful biographies the phrase of the Midas touch. And when one hears the Midas touch, you think, that person is born as an entrepreneur. It's the same argument we can use when we talk about leadership. Are some leaders born, or is it that something that we accumulate? It is what you want it to be. You could come from a traditional household where there was absolutely no business environment, such as mine, but then you can convert that into thinking, well, what do you want for your future? And it's all about taking risk. The more risk you take and the more successful you are at that risk taking, then it will pay off in the end. At the end of the day, you do your SWOT analysis and you make the decision from that point.
Wonderful answer, especially risk. It's really, really risky to become an entrepreneur, but it's really, really worthwhile. And I have Avian here asking, Neil, I have a passion for clothes and I'm an excellent CSR. I could make people buy a pin if they don't know how. I think I should start my own business. What is the steps to take to get started with her business? What steps you took?
Well, you are into the, I guess, the clothes, that sort of industry. Once you have that level of experience, and once you can able to sell the product, and you have dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's in terms of how supply arrangements and so on, do a SWOT analysis first, and consider your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats. There are a lot of threats out there. And if you feel that it's going to be feasible, try it. You seem to be somebody who's articulate and bring a point across, articulate enough to close a sale. you should be articulate enough in ensuring that you do have that adequate level of supply, knowledge, that know-how and consistency, and go out there and try it. If you have nothing to lose at that point, go ahead, go full-fledged into it. You have my full support.
Yeah, so we have to get a little bit of vulnerability out, just shake off that anxiety and jump in.
Yeah,
So
if I may, I want to say something here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's something that we touched off camera in our previous session. Becoming an entrepreneur is not a bed of roses. If today you've decided by the first working Monday in the month of May that you would like to become an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean to say that success and all that favor and all the perks and benefits that goes about making that decision will come at May month. It does not work like that, right? You need to consider, for those who in this chat who play pool, right? In a game of pool, when you start off this game, the successful person, whoever wins the game, does not necessarily pot the first billiard ball. It's not about that. The race is not to put each billiard ball into those pockets. No, it's not. What you should do is your strategy is to line up those billiard balls, whether you are stripes or solid, line them up as close to the pockets as possible. Of course, the ends, not middle, right? And put them there, right? Line them up so that when you get that chance, you can focus on just shooting those balls into the relevant pots. And I'll tell you this, that is what business is all about. Your first month is not going to drive you profits like how easily we can see it on social media and on YouTube and so on, or people joining, going into calling themselves independent business owners and entrepreneurs, and they have their lavish lifestyle, private jets and Bentleys and stuff like that. It doesn't work like that, right? Line up your business first, and yes, it is underscored, it is understood that you will not profit in your first month. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Line up your business according like those billiard balls, and then it will come. Slowly but surely it will come. And that is why in one of the first questions that Kristel asked me, what sort of mentality, what sort of trait that you should have. And that trait is you must be consistent. Be consistent and do not be afraid to fail, because the more failures that you have, success will come.
Yes, sure. I think every entrepreneur who have walked the road can talk about those times in the trenches, just moving and working towards that final success, or that goal, not final, but first, and moving on from there. So I have a question now. I think it's for me. How do I get involved in the program? The Business Accelerator Program. It's a program where NEDCO aligns itself with partners, and you have to be referred from a partner. To get more information on the program, feel free to email us at training@nedco.gov.tt, and you will get much more information. And to double up on that question is the cost of the program. For participants in the program, it's free. Participants are referred and doesn't have to pay a cost to enter the Business Acceleration Program. So I have another question. Do NEDCO still give grants? That I guess is a question for me. Yes, we do have the Entrepreneurial Relief Grant for persons who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And to get on to that platform, it's NEDCO funding.gov.tt, and one of the co-hosts will share both training email and the link for that NEDCO funding in the chat shortly. Okay, so it's asking for the program again. Yes, I gave that answer. Yes, they will. Starting a business is daunting. Is a daunting thought for some person. What advice would you give, Neil, to someone who has a great idea but is fearful?
All of your ideas, you need to discuss it with people who who share similar ideologies. If you need certain assistance and help with that, I can provide that. NEDCO can provide it. However it's articulated behind the scenes, it's fine with me. But your ideas, don't just go discussing ideas with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. If you believe that your idea is unique, you have a unique proposition for competitive advantage, capitalize on it, right? If you know that it's a good idea, put it into paper, create a document, right? Put your ideas into paper, do your projections. If you need help with that, there's a lot of material online. Do your projections, do your own analysis. It's a report that you do. And once you put it in paper, you would realize that you're going to be asking yourself or even some more questions, pertinent questions, and you're going to do more research on the matter. So put that idea into paper, think about it, consider it, have your references in order, so that if you do desire to take it to the next step, you'll be in a better position to discuss this with NEDCO, with your bank, or whoever your financials are, whoever you lean on for expert advice. Put that into paper first, and then we'll take it from there.
And at NEDCO, we do have business advisors like myself who can, and our business relationship officers at each branch, who can assist you with developing that idea a little bit more to get some concrete information and help you with that research as you plan for your business. Now, I have a really good question from Najeesh Sargent. How do you deal with customers, particularly friends and family, who constantly fight on your prices and expect friends and family price discounts when starting a business without damaging those relationships with your family and friends, and of course, supporting your business as well?
Again, we go back to the taxi driver model. When you say you buy a nice little Almiro, and you're deploying your Almiro to St. Anne's taxi stand or Diego Martin or whatever, Petit Valley, and a friend comes, that friend or your neighbor or your best friend, could be even down to your girlfriend or significant other, not, still have to pay the fare. The taxi cannot go from Port of Spain, from by RBC all the way to St. Anne's or Petit Valley on air. It takes gas. You'll be using your tires, you'll be using your oil, etc. So you have to consider your overheads. And any person who is a friend or family to you, who they didn't just drop from the sky, they didn't know about income and expenditure, nothing is free. So they would truly understand that even asking for a free drop makes no sense. That's not truly be a friend or a family. And the concept of your business, you could be selling, like my friend here, who is in the cloth business, selling clothes and clothes, or even like me, I selling printers and stuff. You know, you just can't, how much free printers can you give? How much free laptops can you give? How much free, this and that you can give? Always have to maintain professionalism. And even though they are maybe your friends and your family, they have to be, you treat them like a customer, treat them very professional and courteous, and let them know that, listen, when you are successful, the level of service that you got as my friend, imagine that level of service could be throughout a whole wider circle. So that can build. And if you want to see me successful, the most closed transactions, the more successfully closed transactions I have, it means I'll be in business longer to serve you. So again, to the taxi driver model, the more free drop he or she decides to give, well, that taxi wouldn't be on the road. So then I wouldn't be, that person hypothetically just wouldn't be there to give nobody a free drop again. So once you do what is required, provide a very prompt service, don't speed, don't drive on the shoulder, and you drive carefully in air-conditioned comfort, and you take your passengers to the destination, then that they will say, this person is a very reliable person. And more people will come to you, and then you'll be in business longer. So just treat it like, I'm not saying to be cold, because we touched on customer relationship management very briefly. Be very close to your customers, understand their likes and dislikes, and appease them. The customer is always right mentality. Do what you can, but at the end of the day, it's a service you provide, and the service means that there's no handshakes here, right? At the end of the day, you have to pay for your gas, you have to service your car. So therefore, the transaction must be complete until it, that the service is paid for. So do it politely and professionally, and I don't think there's any issue there.
That is such great advice, because I remember my grandfather had a restaurant, and he had a sign outside the door that leads to the house that says from 8 to 4, if that's the time, this business is open. Anything you want inside of here, you have to pay for it. And that wasn't for the customers, that was for us, his family.
Exactly.
So it was setting boundaries. It's just
Exactly.
about setting boundaries and understanding to reach those limits. You must set certain boundaries to succeed. And we are just running short on time, so I'll just take a couple more questions before we close. So we have one from Ms. Pompey Joseph, and she asks, I have opened a daycare, but it's not a registered business regarding funds at the moment. Is there a place that helps small business owners to grow? Yes, Ms. Pompey Joseph, we at NEDCO are welcome to help you. You can feel free to shoot us a call or send us an email, and we will help you from starting this daycare all the way to when you get your first clients and beyond. So I have Joel. What books have you read, and what would you recommend to individuals who are just starting a business? I believe that's the literature part of getting that research done, that motivation done. Name. What books have you read?
There's one book that I recommend. The first book is Who Moved My Cheese? Everybody should be aware of that book. Who's the author? Let me Google that quickly. Just go on Google and type in Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Everybody should purchase that book. Once you read that book, you would begin to understand a lot of things. I wouldn't spoiler alert, I wouldn't discuss anything more. For all those in the chat, it's available in all those bookstores. I got mine there. Go and read that book, and believe me, it's going to change your whole mentality, especially with the previous question about how in dealing with family and friends and so on and so forth. Read that book. It's not very long. It's not a thick like a big Bible like that. No, it's a very small book. Read it, and all of the questions will be answered.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll take this final question as we move down to 1:30. So this person, Miss Danielle, she doesn't have a business yet, but she's planning to. Her problem is finances. Is this Zoom session for me? Yes, it is. If you have issues with financing, I am going to answer, but Neil, I'm going to give you a chance to answer this one as well. Do you think this session is for her? And sessions like this, finding out about financing for small businesses, how would it work for somebody like Daniel who is planning to start a business?
Once you get the information, once you join the program, which I guess you have already started that journey, educate yourself, and believe me, once you cover each step accordingly, you will get closer and closer to having a more strategic plan, a more concrete business plan in place in order to start your business. So you may not have started it yet, you do not have financing, but believe me, at the end of the program, you're going to be a lot more, you're going to be wiser, and you're going to know how to put things in place. And NEDCO will help you with respect to your business and how to set up that. And even so, for all registered businesses, you must have a business account, which NEDCO will touch on in a more formal way. But before you set up a business account, you must alert to the bank. You must have a certain income expenditure chart. You must submit that. That's part of their compliance and KYC measures. So even if you don't have something concrete now, believe me, by which time you will have something properly committed and prepared, so that at the bank, at the level of the bank, when you are going to set up your account, you're going to have that document. It is something that you must have. It will come in. You cannot get away from it, but it takes time. Follow the program first, quick before you walk, and deal with it stage by stage, and you will get to that point. So right now, you didn't start as yet, but I know your concerns about financing. That will come at a later part.
Yes, it definitely does. And just to touch on two questions I saw in the chat before we close. At NEDCO, we can help you in creating and developing your business plan. We have training, developing a business plan, the ILO Start Your Business, and lots more. that deals with planning and strategies from the idea stage all the way to the growth and expansion stage of your small business. So we have come to the end of this enlightening session. I would like to thank Neil so much for his candid and open views about small business and his retrospective tour into becoming an entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Neil. As we close, I must extend also a heartfelt gratitude and thanks to all the entrepreneurs who sat here with us today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. And thank you for spending this hour. We heard how precious your time is. But this knowledge, we are glad you were here to take it in. Experience is the best. And Neil, your 12+ years in this business surely give us great nuggets to take home. So be sure to look out for our other upcoming webinars and training on the NEDCO social media page. And be sure to send us a message, send us an email, get more information from us. We are here. In April, we have negotiating tips and techniques coming up on the 27th. We have another webinar in the beginning of May called Is the Customer Always Right? We have customer relationship management and competitive strategy coming up in May. We also anticipate to soon host a webinar on intellectual property for SMEs and the use of the intellectual property diagnostic tools. So for further information, please check out our pages. Email us at training@nedco.gov.tt. Call us, ask for walking to one of our branches and ask to speak to our business representative today. So until next time, guys, stay safe, enjoy your afternoon, and go ahead, jump into that pool and become an entrepreneur.
Take care, guys. Thanks a lot.